Thank you. So for the first session, we're mainly looking at integrating data in ArcGIS Pro. And data is actually a very essential component of any GIS. And what we are going to look at in this particular session is how you're able to bring in different data sets in different formats into your ArcGIS Pro, organize the data, and actually use them. So assuming you're a GIS analyst working in an organization and you're working on a particular task and you have different types of data sets that you need to work with, then we're actually going to look at how you're able to do that. And specifically, our focus today is on ArcGIS Pro. So ArcGIS Pro is one of the main desktop applications that we have within the ArcGIS platform. So again, I need to mention that we're actually moving from ArcMap and we'll be focusing mainly on ArcGIS Pro. So ArcGIS Pro is one of the main desktop applications that we have within the ArcGIS platform. So ArcGIS Pro is well integrated within the platform. We have what we are calling the ArcGIS platform. And the ArcGIS platform has very many components. We have various applications. We have desktop applications, one of them being ArcGIS Pro. We have web applications. We have mobile applications and other applications that you can be able to use on your device. And then the other thing that I need to mention is that content from this platform can be shared. You can be able to publish information from ArcGIS Pro to the portal if you're working with enterprise, to the enterprise portal, or actually to ArcGIS Online. And then this platform is powered by online content and services, so be it ArcGIS Online or the enterprise portal. So we are mainly going to focus on ArcGIS Pro. So just to talk more about what ArcGIS Pro is. So ArcGIS Pro is a 64-bit multi-threaded application. What this means is that we have faster processing as well as faster display and visualization within ArcGIS Pro. So it's definitely one of the powerful applications, desktop applications that we have. And then we have the contextual user interface. So the contextual user interface, actually the Pro interface, if you can see on my screen up here, we have the interface. It's actually ribbon based. So similar to what you have in the Microsoft products. If you worked with Microsoft applications, then this will actually be very easy for you to be able to use. And then I have talked about the closer integration within the platform. So what this means is that you're able to import, you're able to export, and you're able to actually work with data sets from different applications within the platform. So what this means is that you're able to import map documents, models, etc. And the other thing that I need to mention, which we'll be looking at also, is that you're able to publish data from ArcGIS Pro to ArcGIS Online or the enterprise portal. And then the beauty also with ArcGIS Pro is that we have a combined 2D and 3D experience within the same platform. That is really, really interesting. We've not had this in any of our applications. For those of us who've been using ArcMap, you had to maybe have ArcScene and then be able to have the 3D experience. But with ArcGIS Pro, we actually have both the 2D and the 3D experience within the same interface. And then of course we have multiple maps and layouts as well as various analysis tools. We have a lot of tools within ArcGIS Pro that you can be able to work with, and you can be able to perform simple search and queries within ArcGIS Pro. So ArcGIS Pro is really one of those very powerful applications that we have. And so as I mentioned, today we'll mainly be looking at integrating different data sets within ArcGIS Pro. And so if you're working, say, for most of the GIS tasks, or actually GIS projects, you realize that you are working with several people. And then also apart from working with several people, you realize that you have to work with different types of data sets. Perhaps you have to get data sets from different sources. So what we're mainly looking at today is how you're able to bring in or integrate those data sets from the various sources within and work with them within ArcGIS Pro. So within ArcGIS Pro, we're mainly working with geodatabases. So a geodatabase is a single repository for storing and managing your GIS data sets within ArcGIS Pro. So it's actually advisable that if you're working in a project or if you're working on a particular GIS task, it's actually advisable to work in a geodatabase. So this graphic here is just trying to show that you have different data sets in different file locations, and then you have to bring that into one location, what I'm calling a geodatabase. And then, of course, ArcGIS Pro supports working with different geodatabases. We have the file geodatabase as well as the enterprise geodatabase. So that those are the different types of geodatabases that are supported within ArcGIS Pro. So for the file geodatabase, which we are mainly going to work with in our demonstration, so the file geodatabase stores data as in a folder, or rather in a file system. So that's what we'll mainly be using for this particular demonstration. Then we also have the enterprise geodatabase. So the enterprise geodatabase adds functionality to the database, so you can be able to access different data sets that you have within your database, and it supports actually various databases. You can have SQL, you can have DB2, you can have Postgres, etc. We have quite a number of databases that are supported with the enterprise geodatabase. And then the other thing that I also need to mention are the different types of data sets that you can be able to store within a geodatabase. So we have what we are calling the geodatabase feature classes. So the geodatabase feature classes are mainly vector data sets. So you can talk of point, line, or polygon data sets. So you can have these within your geodatabase. And if you need maybe if you want to manage or handle a large amount of feature data sets, feature classes within your geodatabase, then you can also make use of the feature data set. Then the other thing that is also supported within the geodatabase is raster data. So you can actually be able to work with raster data within a geodatabase. And then the other thing is also tabular data. So you may need to have or to bring in tabular data and work with it in ArcGIS Pro. So this is also supported. And the thing that I also need to mention is that working with a geodatabase ensures that you're actually enforcing data integrity in your data set. So it's actually a very good way of working. So if you haven't started working with a geodatabase, then you actually need to start working with a geodatabase. Then, of course, after creating, managing and managing your data sets within ArcGIS Pro, there will be need for you to be able to share that information, the data that you have created. Maybe you need to share this information with members within your organization. So if you have an organizational account, if it's based on ArcGIS Online or the enterprise portal, so you can actually be able to share the information from ArcGIS Pro to ArcGIS Online. And ArcGIS Pro actually gives us various options of being able to share that data to ArcGIS Online. So you can be able to share your data as a web layer. So sharing your data as a web layer allows the person who is able to access that information on ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise to be able to visualize, edit, and even query that information. So if you need to share that information and someone else needs to use the same information, you want to share it as a web layer. Then the other form that you can also share your data with is as a web map. So a web map mainly has all the layers associated with it. So you're working on a particular map and you have all the layers associated with it and you want to publish that to ArcGIS Online. So you're able to share that as a web map. Then the other thing is that you're also able to share the 3D web scenes. So we are going to go into a demonstration where we're just going to look at how we are able to bring in different data sets and work with them within ArcGIS Pro. So I'm just gonna launch my ArcGIS Pro. Let me just minimize my screen. So for those of us who may not have used ArcGIS Pro, so this is what happens when you launch ArcGIS Pro. So as I mentioned, ArcGIS Pro is one of the main desktop applications that we have within the ArcGIS platform. And it's actually an improvement to what we had in ArcMap. So this is ArcGIS Pro. So this is the interface that you actually get within ArcGIS Pro. The other thing that I need to mention, even as we go into the demonstration, is that we have different licensing models for ArcGIS Pro. What I'm currently using is a named user license. So what this means is that I I have my username and password assigned to me by the administrator of my online account or my enterprise portal. So I'll be able to use those credentials to work with ArcGIS Pro. So the first way of licensing is actually using the named user license. You can also be able to work with a single user licensing option. So what this means is that you're able to use Pro on a single machine, or you can actually be able to use the concurrent use license. So if you have many people within your organization and you need them to be able to access the licenses, or multiple people using the licenses, then you can use the concurrent user licensing. So what happens is that there are very many options of also starting ArcGIS Pro. You can be able to create a blank project within ArcGIS Pro, but for the purposes of this presentation, I had created a project that is integrating data. That's the name of the project that we are going to use. And again, ArcGIS Pro is able to keep a record of all the projects that you've been working on. So you can actually have, if you're working on different GIS projects, you can actually organize your work in the form of projects within ArcGIS Pro. So this is the interface. It has very many components. I talked about the ribbon-based interface. So we have different tabs. We have the insert tab if you need to insert a new map, if you need to insert a new scene, etc. We have the content section. We have the catalog section. So for any project that, once you create a project in ArcGIS Pro, you'll have all these folders within your catalog. You will have the maps folder, you will have the toolboxes, you'll have the databases, you'll have the folders and all this. So when you create a project within ArcGIS Pro, you'll be able to get all this. So the one thing that I want to show us is that when you create a project within ArcGIS Pro, the project actually comes with a created geodatabase. Remember, I talked about having our data in a geodatabase. Alternatively, if you need to create a new geodatabase within a project, maybe you have multiple data sets and you want to create more than one geodatabase, you can also do that. So you simply come to databases and then you come to new file geodatabase. So you'll be able to create a new file geodatabase. So remember, I mentioned that we have different types of geodatabases, and what we're using for this session is a file geodatabase. So I have different data sets for this session. Also, I have data that I downloaded from the National Police Service website. So this spreadsheet has the data about the different types of crimes in different counties. So we have the county information here. We have different types of crimes: homicide, robbery, theft, all this, vehicle, traffic, criminal, all these different types of crime. And this is one of the data sets that I will actually be using within ArcGIS Pro. Alternatively, I also have, so that's a non-spatial data set. Then I also have a data set for Kenya counties, which is a feature layer for the Kenya counties. So this data is in my geodatabase. So I'm going to add the counties data set here. So again, notice the attributes information within our attributes table. So I'm just going to open the attribute table just to see what we have. So for this particular one, we mainly have the county name. Actually, it's just data about the counties. So the other information that, of course, I'll need to work with is the CSV or the Excel sheet that I have actually shown us. So I'm going to add the CSV file into my ArcGIS Pro. Let me just come to view. So I'm going to add the CSV file into our ArcGIS Pro also. So I'm going to add the CSV file for 2018, the one that I just showed us, showing the crimes in Kenya, in the different counties in 2018. And I just want us to have a look at what we have in the attribute table. So we have the county name, of course, and then we have the various types of crimes within that particular county. So we have these two types of data sets that we need to work with within ArcGIS Pro. So notice that the table is a non-spatial table, and then we have the counties, which is a feature data set. So what we are going to do, we're going to do a join. We're going to join the table and the feature data set so that we can be able to work, or rather so that we can be able to give the spreadsheet a spatial aspect to it. So I'm gonna come to counties, then I'll come to joins and relate. Then we're going to create a new join. So my input will be the counties, then the join field. So for you to be able to perform a join, you have to have the same data set at least in one field. So our common field for this particular case will be the counties. So I'll have the first county. And then on the CSV also, we have the counties field. So that's the common field that we're going to use to create this particular join. So I'll click OK. So we're actually creating a join. So we are joining the spreadsheet that we have with the CSV. So I want us to just have a look at what we have here. So I'm going to open the attribute table and notice that the data that we had in the CSV file is now appended into our feature class. And then the other thing that I need to mention is that a join is actually temporary. So what we need to do, we will export this layer that we have joined with the CSV data into our geodatabase. So I will come to this particular place here. Maybe before we even export it, maybe we can just rename it. Maybe we can say crimes by county or county crimes. So we're going to call it county crimes. Yes. So again, so we have to export this to our geodatabase. So I'll come to data, and then I'll click on export features. So we are exporting this particular layer that we have joined with the data from our CSV to our geodatabase. So I had a default geodatabase that was already created there. So I'm just gonna call it county crimes. And then I'm gonna click OK. And then we'll have that particular feature actually exported to our geodatabase. So I'm just gonna refresh so that you can be able to see that. Yes, so we have county crimes added to our geodatabase. So what we're going to do is that we are going to, I think I'm getting a bit confused. Let me remove all of them. I don't know which one is the updated one. Let's just remove all of them, and then we add the one that has been added. So I'm just gonna add this again to our map. So this is the layer that had the join with the CSV. So let's just check the attribute information again. Yes, so it actually has all the information that we were able to join. So maybe you just want to, be able to visualize this information so that someone can be able to make sense of the information that you have actually published. So we can symbolize this information. So for this particular one, we have different categories of crimes. So what I'm going to use, we're going to use, maybe you can use graduated colors just to show for a particular crime, which are the crime hotspots, which are the places that have higher crime rate depending on the data sets that we have. So we have that. So you can actually be able to see the darker shades are showing areas that have the highest crime spots, and then the color fades showing the areas that have the least crime. So the darker the color, the more the crime indications in that particular area. So that's just one example of showing what you can be able to do, integrating different data sets. For this case, we had tabular data sets and we had a feature data set. So suppose you need to share this information with other members within your organization so that they can be able to, make use of this information, then that's the next bit that we're going to look at. We're mainly going to share the same information. I know my colleague is gonna show us how you can be able to make sense of this information more. She'll be using crime data sets to just be able to show you how you can be able to visualize this information and even make more sense out of that information. And then notice that I mentioned we have different ways of actually sharing information. So for this particular one, I'm just gonna publish it as a web layer. So when you publish information as a web layer, what this means is that that information can be visualized, that information can be queried and edited by other members within your organization. So that's actually the format that I'm gonna use to share my information. So I'll share this information as a web layer. So we have the sharing interface here. So I'll be able to determine the name of the layer that we are sharing, as well as the description and the tags for this particular layer. Let's just give it a few minutes as it loads. So again, you can work with multiple data sets. This was just for this particular demonstration, but if you have different data sets, you can append, like for instance, for this crime data sets, what I'm actually showing on my screen are the crime data sets for 2018. So you can actually have many data sets like for different years. So you have some kind of a time series. So let's just call it county crime data, then summary county crime data, tags, maybe we can just call it crime data. So tags just make it easy for you to be able to search for information. So we are publishing these as a web layer. So you can analyze just to see if there are any errors in your data set before you can be able to publish. Then you click on publish. So again, notice that I'm using the named user license. So I'm actually connected to my ArcGIS Online account. So the same data set that I have been working on in ArcGIS Pro will be published to my ArcGIS Online account. So it's just taking a while, but as soon as it's done, it will actually show me that my data has been published successfully. I think even as it publishes, so that we take a shorter time, I'm just gonna sign into my ArcGIS Online account, so that once that is published, you can be able to see it on our ArcGIS Online account. So again, I'm using the same credentials to sign into my ArcGIS Online account. The same credentials I'm using on ArcGIS Pro to be able to sign into my ArcGIS Online account. Yeah, so it's still publishing. So I'm gonna sign into ArcGIS Online with the same credentials that I have. Yeah, so I'm gonna sign in here as we check if our layer has actually published to ArcGIS Online. Let's just give it a few more seconds. So once that is done publishing, we'll actually be able to see the layer published to our ArcGIS Online account. So let's just give it a few more. And then on my ArcGIS Online account, the data will automatically be shared to my content section on ArcGIS Online. I think my let's just give it a few more minutes. I think it should be able to publish shortly. So once you have published your data sets to your ArcGIS Online account, so if you're working on a particular task or a particular project with your colleagues, then they can actually be able to access that information and use that information in another part of the same task or project that you're working on together. I think it's taking a while. Maybe my connection is a bit slow. Let me just see if we manage to have this published. If not, I'm just gonna show us a sample of some of the data sets that have been published to ArcGIS Online. So with this, then you can be able to create dashboards like what May is just gonna show us in the next session. You can be able to create various web applications with the same data sets that have been published to ArcGIS Online. I think it's likely to take a while. So what we are gonna do in the interest of time, I'm gonna allow May to take us through the next session of creating dashboards as it takes a while to publish. So over to you, May.